Too many.
Okay. Well, first of all, I moved the house to a smaller place. Well, it's still mess, so I cannot show uh, my room. Yeah.
But your room looks quite big.
This one is yes, so of course it's big. By the photo. It's,
Olivia.
hi Olivia. Hi.
I got out of school here.
So that's not a real background, KR. That's
It's just image.
I thought it was always your home.
I realized I have to reduce much more my belongings because we moved to a bit smaller apartment and I reduced quite some, but still too many things, too many stuffs. And unfortunately, the timing, the previous owner didn't give you enough time for us to modify. We are modifying some part of the apartment, and so we have some difficulty. And having we moved in, then we have some interior works going on. So quite difficult time.
Yeah.
Fortunately, the internet is connected, so. By the way,
being closer to Seoul. Are you moving closer to Seoul?
No, I'm not in Seoul. It's near to Seoul, about 1 hour from Seoul.
Okay.
And I moved to the same area, but a bit smaller one. But it's pretty convenient.
Lars, I did not send you any question because Kia's list is so comprehensive. And
Yeah, thank you.
also, yeah.
I got
but-
more than more questions than I think I can use, but some of them very good actually.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes. If they agree to sit down with me, I think it'll be fun. I mean, I think the entrepreneurship that I see in India is just amazing. So I think it's a good testing ground for the questions actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, one question I
Hello,
might
Ellie.
ask them if they come online with us would be, how do they manage fear? Do they have sources of fear? That would be the only question about us.
Yeah. To learn how to live in this uncertainty, you never know where the next thing is coming from. And I've been in that economy for most of my life, and it's a roller coaster.
It's also related to today's topic, the gig economy, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting point that it raises, though, as I come up, I think, with a few questions for Lars, but the comprehensive nature of AI just seems to it just submerges your own ideas almost. It drowns them out.
Yeah, right.
But it's still worth thinking about. It's still worth giving yourself a little bit of freedom before perhaps even pressing the AI button, just where our own thought process is. So I don't know. AI will quickly become a default means by which we answer questions, and maybe we still need to back ourselves a little bit first.
But I do think that verbalize, I said one thing is reading and another thing is talking it out with somebody else in dynamic interaction. And I still don't believe that AI can compete with that.
No, very true. Yet.
Yeah, I mean, when we ask question, we have to believe in the value of that question.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
it's just for the
Right.
sake of asking question. Yeah.
Right. It has to be what they say, authentic self-expression that creates value.
Mm.
That's a good phrase. Authentic self-expression that creates value. Okay, thank you. Do we think the new Japanese Prime Minister is doing that? She is very animated and now looks like she's leading in the opinion poll to win. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, her approval rate or satisfaction rate is very high, about 70%.
Oh, that's
Oh,
That's high.
Yeah,
that's
and
what.
that way for the last 4 months.
Yeah.
she's just supporting Taiwan very strongly, right?
Yeah. I like her very much.
Yeah, how many percentage of the Taiwanese population are actually supporting the unification with the People's Republic of China? Is there a percentage?
Yeah, very low. Only
Very low?
2.5%.
How many?
2.5%.
Oh, yeah, that's a good message.
The majority of people still like to maintain the status quo.
Right.
That means independent from the People's Republic of China.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the problems with the United States is that they have this transactional sort of way of dealing with the world and no strategy. And one of the things that is absolutely lacking is clarity around Taiwan.
Yeah, but yeah, I know Trump's style is kind of difficult, but look at his cabinet members as well as the whole Congress. Majority of them still supportive of Taiwan.
yeah.
Yeah, for instance, this time the tariffs negotiation as well as a trade deal between U.S. and Taiwan are quite good. I think it's I would say even slightly better than that with Korea and Japan.
But at the core of the relationship are the microchips, aren't they? It's a big part of the relationship.
Yes, yeah, that's a big part, and also another part is the strategic location of Taiwan, because it's in the center of the first island chain.
Right.
I think Peter and Chantal are not signing in, right? I guess that's all we have. And Fernando, I don't think he's free to join in, and the time difference in the US.
Yeah.
So,
Fernando is a happy grandfather.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's great to be a grandfather. I recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 5. I agree.
Whoa.
I have six plus 2 from Anna's side that I've considered to be my grandchildren as well.
Yeah, they do. They bring great joy, and it's just their reaction. It's just unconditional love. You know, they just you don't
Now,
get.
Paul, do you remember their birthdays?
I've got a very, very good wife for that sort of thing. But that's the laziest thing. That's the laziest thing I've ever said. But I have now. This year I've now put them on my calendar, so I'm prompted a week before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm a disaster on those things.
Yeah. That's right. So, KR, are we starting, you think, or we're waiting for something?
No, we are studying already. So, please share. Would you share what is your plan? Anything about Sweden issues these days?
You're thinking about the gig economy now, or?
No. No, we can study the gig economy. It's a very interesting the progress.
Yeah.
In most of the countries, I think it's very growing very fast, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Due to two major factors. One is a post-pandemic.
Yeah.
Because post-pandemic, there are more and more free workers, and they are all used to working from home. So, and another major factor is the AI. AI creates that kind of environment.
Yeah.
Because a lot of AI-related tasks can really boom gig economy.
And it's interesting. There is a younger age, like younger than the 30s, has more working on the gig economy, and also the seniors, the 60 plus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are two groups growing very fast in the gig economy in Korea.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, besides those factors that was highlighted by ST and KR, one of the other driving forces in Malaysia is the low, stagnant salary, for being employed. So salary structures in Malaysia has, hardly moved actually over the last 30 years. So sometimes the second generation, especially, I mean, they are well taken care of. They have maybe enough social net from the parents. So many of them decided to just go out and do things on their own. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and of course there is a sector of gig economy that is less educated, and they have no choice but to pick up some of those job scope and all that.
Yeah.
Like a delivery or
Yeah.
Yeah, traditionally more on service sectors.
Yeah.
the food delivery, retail, and the field workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with AI booming, I think they probably the trend is more and more highly skilled jobs are also part of a gig economy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like programming, software work, development, design. So they all created through the digital platform.
Yeah. It's getting very common in Korea. And many people having a second job, and they say it's a side hustle. It's a
Yeah.
new term, right? Side hustle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Sorry, I was late and I was trying to fix my computer because after all those system upgrades and then all those settings has been wrong for me for a few times. So I just joined and I didn't catch up previously on what you were talking about. So that's why I was like keep quiet. But for for for, for this topic, I think in Hong Kong in particular, we found that the younger generation has a very different mindset about their career path.
Yeah.
And they would like to pursue work-life balance, and they don't fancy what we call the corporate life of career. And they would rather stay fluid in their career so that they can enjoy life at the same time. So some kind of informal survey has been conducted in Hong Kong, and we found that many of those in 20s or 30s, that they would rather stay as what we call the slasher. In slasher, that means at the same time they are on different jobs, and those jobs can be transactional or maybe short term or maybe freelance, and they may not be related. So at one time, they can be designing some kind of project for a company, and then at the same time, they run an online shop selling handicrafts, and then they work on some KOL project for YouTube. So they find it that's the way they can keep a work-life balance. And versus for our age, I think most of us would rather stay in a very stable jobs and work there for many years, working up that career path to a more senior kind of positions. So for the younger generations, they don't fancy it because they think first they get less and less chance to be promoted because we are still here. So we occupy all those senior jobs and then they got less chance to be promoted. That's one thing. And second, they think that working according to this kind of steady job is they don't have the work-life balance. They cannot enjoy their life what they can. And of course, the realistically is about the finance because in Hong Kong that the housing price have been so high that you can never or you seldom can make a living and plus you're saving that you can buy a house with your saving. So if that's the case, when you find it's almost impossible to buy a house with your steady job. So why keep all those savings and then work for that goal that you probably cannot achieve? So they would rather spend their money when they can. So that's the kind of mindset when I found that in many of the younger generation in Hong Kong are having. And that's the reason why they would rather stay away from those steady jobs. And then they keep what you call that gig kind of career path.
Mhm.
So expressing that in a positive way, it suggests that young people would the variety or a portfolio type career brings potentially more job satisfaction and more money.
May not be more money, but more job satisfaction, that's for sure. And they, a lot of times they emphasize that they want to pursue their dreams. And their dreams would be something more creative than staying in a career path for many years.
Yeah, because when I looked at this question, I asked myself the question: if I were starting again in my career, would I prefer to go that route, of the gig economy and a portfolio type career? And I didn't quite land on one side or the other, but I did see that it could bring a greater degree of satisfaction than grinding away, which sometimes felt like that when you're in a situation where the business you might be working for is in a trough, and it just becomes really just like hard work. At least if you're in control to a greater extent of the things that you wish to do, then you may be able to pull different levers and make different choices. And at various stages of my career, I think that would have been very appealing. I'm not sure I would have the energy now to start doing that, but that's because of where I am now. But yeah, I get it. I think I can understand both from a financial and from a job satisfaction angle that would make quite an appealing prospect for a young person, rather than the apparent security of big business, which ends up being not very secure anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly another pull factor or another push factor, whatever,
Yeah.
that they don't fancy that's corporate life, because for so many years that you thought when you enter a big company that you have a steady job, but at the end of the day, for so many different ways of restructuring, re-engineering, whatever how you term it, that at the end of the day they don't have job security. So that's also get them into the kind of mindset that they would rather stay flexible, and in that case they feel more in control of their own job or job security.
I think in the European, in EU, they are now thinking about this whole gig economy because it's becoming very competitive, and when it's very competitive, capitalism will exploit them, for sure, to the bone. And so social democracy that we have in Sweden, we are always built, the relationship with people as traditional transaction between the employees and the employees. So we have this model that is flying right in the face of the whole gig economy. So there is some attempts now to unionize these people. In Sweden, they succeeded with Foodora. Is that the name of the delivery of food? They have a contract now on minimum wage and so forth, and have certain protection. But it's becoming a big issue, at least in Europe, and where we have social democracy, or more or less through the EU, protection of the weak and all of that. So I don't know if that's the same in Asia or in Hong Kong or in Taiwan, but there is a movement here to try to protect these people.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, in Taiwan recently, we also, the Congress passed the law to protect those food delivery workers.
Yeah.
Yeah, same in Malaysia as well. The gig workers now, they have their own social security system, just approved by the parliament recently. But following with that is also the taxmen were after them as well. For example, you know, as they, as they become more transparent. So
Yeah.
those influencers, for example, now they have to declare the free samples that manufacturers gave it to them to promote online,
Yeah.
which previously they don't have to. So it cuts both ways,
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the same issue that they are not protected well enough from they have some union, but it's not protecting their rights properly, and also the the insurance is not fully covered, so
Mhm.
they're open to the quite a risk. And that's the one of the major issues that we are talking in Korea too. So same. I see it's pretty similar to any countries. I think for the gig economy, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can give
Overall,
sorry.
yes. Sir. Yeah. Overall, the labor laws are still based on the traditional economy.
Right.
Mm.
But of course, right now, the government as well as legislative representatives, they pay a little bit more attention to this gig economy. So they are moving towards some protection, but still not enough.
Yeah.
The benefits as well as the worker protection are still not enough.
I'll give you an example. We have an association of artists in Sweden, KRO, it's called. And in KRO, they have decided on certain, when artists come and talk about their work, for example, there's a rate that so much for travel, so much, 7,000 crore, and everybody's following it. So I'm working in a voluntary organization where we used to be able to get artists to come because they wouldn't like to come in for free. Now everybody's charging. So that union is incredibly successful. All the artists will charge you exactly the same for performing in front of a public. So that's it. If you call being an artist a gig economy,
Mhm.
Mm.
Yes, it is now in Malaysia as well. The singer, the film stars, and all that, they are now protected under that new act. Yeah.
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 So
Well,
it's happening.
Hong Kong is very backward in that sense because the kind of career that you're talking about, they are considered as self-employed. When you're self-employed, you got nothing, no benefits at all, no insurance unless you can prove that you have a steady income. And it's very hard because if you are on a gig kind of projects, then it's very hard for you to show that you have a steady income continuously. Then or either
Yeah.
you pay a very high premium in your insurance because in Hong Kong we don't have what we call the national insurance, nothing in Hong Kong. So either you buy your own insurance to insure about yourself. So what you say is very advanced to me and also to Hong Kong.
You need the Communist Party there. I was
Ah,
sorry. But
goodbye.
India is interesting case in terms of the gig because my experience of India is most people are somehow on their own business in some way or another.
Right, but by definition, the gig economy is slightly different, right? So about 2% of the folks employed are, are considered in the gig economy. The people who are self-employed are sort of come under a different heading, right? So these
Yeah.
are the guys now you see in those small scooters running around delivering parcels, right? So that's a large chunk of the Indian gig economy. The other part is at the lower skill level is folks who are basically casual workers, right? There'll be spots in different cities where they'll congregate and the contractors will come and may pick up some folks and give them work for that day. So those are the other level, and then there is a higher level of gig workers, which are in the IT space or graphic artists or folks just creating content and stuff like that. So about 2% of India's total people employed are in the gig economy, and this number is supposed to go up significantly. But as I said earlier, largely driven by the spread of e-commerce, right, and also the taxi services, folks like Uber. So that's the other significant part of the gig economy, which is also supposed to grow. So this number is supposed to grow up fairly significantly, go 3-4 times in the next few years. And the interesting thing is, the issues that you all raised around the benefits they get, and the government is, come out with some laws and trying to force some the companies to sort of take care of insurance and these type of things for them. So that process is on. But interestingly, they managed to get together, and on Christmas and New Year, they threatened to go on strike. All the Zomato is the big food guys here, and Swiggy, and so they all threatened to go on strike. And in that time frame, my son, in fact, was looking for something to be delivered, and they said, sorry, basically don't have enough people. And the 31st strike was called off because they managed to come to some sort of understanding with these folks. And a result of that, it sort of got a lot of attention, and the government came down a little hard on all these quick commerce outfits. And they said that please don't advertise 10-minute delivery, because it's the 10-minute delivery which is creating a lot of stress in these folks' life. The main issue they had was like the stress they have because they're always just running around. And so the government sort of suggested to all these quick commerce sites not to do that. And so they've sort of held back on the 10-minute promise, but nothing is really changed on the ground in terms of the 10-minute delivery, because they don't say it, but they're still aspiring for it because it's a competitive edge, they think. So that's that's what's been happening in India in this space. On the economy, I can tell you that the budget was presented on Sunday. India is doing fairly well this year, and compared to all the forecasts, they keep getting upgraded, which is a nice thing to happen. And the most interesting thing that's been coming out is India's exports. Actually, they've been going up. Even to the US, they've gone up. Where we've got 50% tariff, they've actually gone up. And it's really to do with the split, right? Because there's certain parts of it which there's no duty, right? The Apple phones and the pharmaceuticals and stuff. So those are going up a lot. And some of the other areas, India has managed to sort of spread out, right? Marine exports were the big area, which the US is the biggest customer. But India has found a few more customers in Europe and in China. So, and Vietnam as well. So a lot of these things are getting spread out a little bit. And so, yeah, the economy is doing actually fairly well, and it's and the expectation is that it will continue to do well as long as oil is steady.
Well, one data point that I would like to share is from Singapore. Maybe it's a bit different from what we have just shared. And this actually, the statistics come from the matchmaking agency. In Singapore, ladies would prefer a single man with permanent job, not gig workers. Somehow, because that
Not
society,
surprising.
That's another.
that society is, meritocracy, high cost, and all that. So they look for perks, good job and all that. In fact, up to 41 to 50% of the ladies interviewed, they say they would prefer a man with full employment, rather than a gig worker. So
And
slightly
that's the parents. That's the parents how they see their future son-in-law too.
yeah, that's true. And actually, that might be a worrying trend for Singapore if everything is so comfortable and predictable. So going forward, the world is going to be more unpredictable. So whether there's enough alternate space or creativity, to survive the challenges, and that's the worry, in Singapore.
Women in Sweden have made incredible progress. I mean, they are basically running everything. In all the political posts, many of them are females. I think it's the other way around, that men would look out for women who can have a steady job and a good income. The women are taking over here, which is, I'm a feminist, so I like it. It gets me off a hook, but it's a different issue here because women are feeling very much equal to men here, even superior secretly.
See, in Singapore, that's the reverse. If a man is earning less than the woman, forget about it. So,
Yeah, very difficult. Yeah.
yeah, very difficult.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's pretty same in Korea. Yeah, they like the permanent jobs, but there are people who has to work on the gig economy, right? So that's an issue, especially those in the young people who has a less opportunity than before to get a job, and the permanent jobs has to work on the gig economy. And also the seniors who has experience but who doesn't have enough money to support they need to earn more. So that's the issue. They're forced to work on the gig economy. But there's
Or
another.
folks who want,
But there's
or folks who want to work part-time, KR. That's the other set of older people. They want to just work part-time, so that's one easy way.
But there's another one. The new generation. Some of the new generations they'd like to have a side hustle because they want to have more money, and also they want to extend their hobbies, what they like, and as a profession. So there's another group. They are developing a lot of YouTube or any other the online shopping malls or even that kind of works they're doing. There's some differences, but the preferred job is a permanent job for many Korean young people. But there is less opportunity than before for getting a good permanent jobs these days because of AI.
Interesting in Hong Kong, in the younger generations, KOL or YouTube KOL become one of the most kind of the job that the younger generation fancy about. So they want to pursue their career in becoming a YouTuber. So it is something that we, at least in my age or in my generation, we never thought about it. So how can you build a career online as a KOL or YouTuber? So it is a totally different kind of mindset.
Yeah, that's one of the most talked about things in the UK as well. This the ability of people to monetize use of use of themselves and a brand and building something online. It's beyond me as to how it can be done, but they do. There seems to be a significant growth in that economy and the opportunity that comes.
Yeah,
And it must
they
be
label
very, it must be very,
themselves. Yeah, they label themselves as content creator. So
content
so
creator.
yeah, content creator. So I think it's become something like an official term for this kind of career nowadays.
But what about the future? I mean, if you look at this whole development, and in Sweden we are poised to increase by 16% per year in this gig economy. So it's booming, and it's supported by a high level of digitalization of this country. So that makes it naturally easier, you know. But the question is, if I'm looking into the future, I believe that there will be people that will collect gig workers in unions and begin to demand certain things. I think that's where we are heading. I think what I've seen so far have been pretty successful, like the artists, for example. So I have a feeling that's the trend, but I don't know what the rest of you think, that there will be an increasing protection for these people.
I mean, the voting age in Malaysia has been lowered down to 18 since the last election. So this is an important vote bank for the politicians. So they have to pay attention to it.
It seems to me, Lars, that if I were starting up in a gig environment, the last thing I'd want was to be protected. I'd want the freedom that comes from doing my own thing.
Yeah, of course. But what I'm thinking is that this economy is becoming increasingly competitive. And what happens with that is if you're not protected, it will mean that people will bargain and there will be lower salaries, you know. Like the Uber drivers, for example, they can hardly exist on the money they're making.
Yeah, there is
So
that danger
competitive.
that it becomes a race. It becomes a race to the bottom, doesn't it, rather than an aspiration to the top.
Exactly.
Everybody drags everybody else down. Unless
We lost you. Oh.
Yeah, it's the freeze.
Oh.
The screen has been frozen.
I don't think he sees us. I just want to cycle back, Yugi, to you, because Ursula von der Leyen made a pronouncement the other day, very proud, coming back from a negotiation with India, and big fanfare, you know. And one of the reasons, of course, is to let Trump knows that it didn't go, that his strategy doesn't work. But was it announced with the same fervor in India as it has been in Europe? Because here's a big deal, you know. India, we made a deal with India.
Yeah, absolutely. And partly for the same reason as you said, it sends a message to Trump, right?
Right.
And they, so she and the other gentleman were the chief guests at India's Republic Day parade. So they came in and they were chief guests there. India normally has some foreign dignitary there as the chief guest. And so they were the chief guests at the Republic Day parade. And then the next day, the EU trade deal was signed. So yeah, same way. It's big because it's going to be implemented in a year's time. It has to be passed by each country and all that type of thing. But from an Indian point of view, it lowers the duties on some of the labor-intensive products, which are important because those haven't done well in India, like garments, for example. So, like Bangladesh and Vietnam have always had a duty advantage versus India in Europe. So that goes away. Leather, all these type of things. So that's important from an Indian point of view, and as you said, also in terms of signaling, and also more than that, I think they also signed some sort of defense agreements and stuff, so that it's this, it's the same thing like what the UK Prime Minister was in China, right, signing deals. So I think everybody's saying, okay, US is doing what they're doing, but we can still do business with each other and work with each other, and but so yeah, that's what's happening. But coming back to the point EH made, and mentally we all think like that there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, right? There's a major private bank in India called Axis Bank, and when they were telling their customers, investors about what next year holds, they actually kept geopolitics out of it, and they said it's not because it's not important, but it won't have any impact. Okay, they said if you look back to this year, what is the impact it's had on you, right? Your economy has done better than you thought it would do. Whatever has happened anywhere else, right? Going forward, they want to ensure that the price of energy is kept under control. And as long as that is happening in India, it's fine. They said the stuff around, Venezuela, it's just flexing muscles. US in the backyard saying this is our area, and you guys, rest of you guys stay out of here. And similarly with Greenland, they'll find a solution. So this is Trump's model. You ratchet this up, you make it really high profile, which helps versus the local, your local voters, and eventually nothing really changes. Some small thing will happen here or there, and true, if something happens in Greenland, it makes a difference for the folks specifically there. But otherwise, it doesn't really make that much of a difference in the world. So he said these things will keep happening, but it's fine. It's not an issue. It's not going to. And in fact, the data, they said is that you think because of all this tariffs and all, trade would have gone down. Trade this year in 25 is actually up as a percentage of GDP in the world. So the more all this happens, don't worry much about it. It's all in the newspaper. Everybody, all the politicians love to make noise. They want to, make points versus their domestic audiences. And as far as business is concerned, shouldn't really impact people. So they actually didn't have a section of geopolitics in this year's report.
Another trend, if I want to look into the future, I think it's interesting that Europe is coming closer to India, and India still has a very good relationship with Russia, buying armaments and oil and whatever it is, and maybe we have an opportunity to have India help with Ukraine. It puts India in a very strong position, actually, in the world.
Yeah, well, I mean, these things,
come and go.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, I think that a lot of it boils down, at least in India, in terms of ensuring more investment and stuff. So the government is pretty focused on that, and it also plays to its local voters, right? So they also, in June of last year, for example, the Pakistan field marshal was there, and Trump wanted Modi to go there. And Modi said, there's no way I'm going to be seen in the same room, in the same frame with Trump and the Pakistan field marshal. No way. He didn't go. And then he came back and he made a speech, Trump called me, but I had a commitment with you people and I came here. So, they have their own way of projecting things. So, and of course, India's relationship after that went south with the US, but, that's just how it works. In fact, it's very interesting. the earlier Indian ambassador to the US was in college with me, a guy called Taranjeet Singh Sandhu. And a few weeks ago, I actually met him. And I actually asked him, about his stint in the US and stuff like that. So he had very interesting anecdotes to tell us about Trump and how things work. But the bottom line still is the same. They just focus on their own local support and local votes. That's what the most important thing for them is.
Yeah. Well, the Canadian Prime Minister, he said this is not a transactional situation; it's a rupture. He called it. I think that the world is actually changing in front of our eyes. It's unbelievable what's happening right now, and from the perspective of Europe, it looks like Trump is shooting himself in the foot again and again, becoming isolated, and and now new relationships are formed, and China is becoming a little more palatable here. Well, they get things done, and a few generals disappear here and there. It doesn't matter. It's changing. There's a shift that I see, and I think I guess everybody else is seeing the same, that we are pedaling away from the United States.
I mean,
Well, obviously,
they're pushing everybody away, it seems, but there was a news item the other day in the Indian newspapers that some 11, 12 people were executed in China because they were running these scam back-end operations, right, in collaboration with Burma. Right. So, I mean, it seemed really, really extreme punishment, right, to be executed for running a scam back-end operation. I mean, I think this is like quite crazy, right?
Powerful message.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
For those of us who, I don't know, I think all of us have been involved in some scam or another, and it's infuriating that it increases, so
Yeah.
I'm against the death penalty, of course, but
yeah. Well, certainly the UK Prime Minister visiting China and creating new alliances has caused a lot of unrest in a way in the UK. But the feeling was that that's somewhat forced. That new order is forced by the way that Trump has reacted with his all of his sanctions and so on, trade embargoes and so on. So it seems to be considered to be a reasonable reaction. But I take Jojiv's point that there's very little known about how they operate compared to more traditional means of commerce in China, that is.
Yeah, I was about to say, actually, these scam centers, they are brutal, based on the stories that some of the returning Malaysian who were kidnapped there to work there, some of them never returned. So it's more than just a crime. It's murder, so multiple angles to look at these scam centers.
I guess so. It seemed like very, very extreme punishment.
Yeah. That sentence is common in China.
Yeah. And in Singapore, that many years ago, I don't, if you remember, there was this American kid who graffitied cars, and
Yes.
they got him.
Yeah.
They whipped him, and I lived in the States at the time, and the outcry in the United States that they would do such a thing, but they just went ahead and
Yeah.
whipped him so bad that they had to sew him together again after that.
It's actually the chewing gum that, affected the operation of the mass rapid transit rail. See, in a society where efficiency and on time, all these are so important, this chewing gum and all that go and stop the rail car from operating. So sometimes, these are. I mean, it's a bit excessive, but then that's the way a small city state operates. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then since then, chewing gum is prohibited
Yeah.
totally in
In
Singapore.
Singapore kids, when they come to Malaysia, they will buy chewing gum in
Yeah,
dozen.
right, right, right.
Yeah.
There were I don't know if still exist, but there are very funny, the punishment. And I mean some of the how to say I just lost the words. They have some just like a punishment if no flushing.
Ah, yeah.
Of course, littering. Yeah.
or punishment for the abnormal sex. I don't know who is watching that.
Well,
But it's interesting. We have this is amusing. In Sweden, very few people are smoking, but what they do is they put the snuff under the lip, in little pouches with tobacco. And EU wanted to ban it, and Sweden said, if you ban it, and we are not allowed to use snuff in Sweden, we are out of EU. No way. And true. I mean, the Swedish people would all stand up as one man and said, "No way," because this is such a habit here. It's a drug. But at least you don't smell the smoke.
Mm.
Singapore has a reputation of being a fine city, FINE. So it's fine in many ways, but it's also a city where you can be fined for little things like, not flushing the toilet or whatever, so bringing in chewing gums. Yeah.
And they have a T-shirt in those tourist center with the word saying Singapore is a fine, fine city. I still remember that.
Yeah.
We used to have a bad joke about Singapore. Scratch the surface and you're in North Korea. Sorry, that's not true, but that was the joke.
Yeah. That's how they operate, in a small city state. I think I said this before. They can't afford a mistake, so they guard it very jealously.
What are your dates to India, Lars? Are you coming to Delhi?
I'm going. What is it? Since I forget everything, I have a wife who remembers, Paul, exactly the same as you. I go. Yeah, you should come down. By the way, I'm renting a villa with 3 bedrooms, so you're welcome. I'm coming. I'm coming back the 10th of March, that I know, and I'm going on the 16th of February.
Right. And so is Delhi on your list of places to visit?
No, I'm flying via Dubai with Emirates to Chennai.
And where are you going?
Huh? To Auroville.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to hang out in this youth hostel and interview people and just have a good time. Living with the gig economy. These are nomads, all of them, traveling around with a computer.
Wow. Right. So I was hoping you would be in Delhi because Paul is going to be there and then we would meet. But
wow, that would be something, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, but I have a house and a housekeeper, and you can come and stay with me because it's a big house.
And this is in Oroville?
Oroville. It's
Okay.
interesting place, Jugi, actually.
I've never been. I'd love to. Let
Oh,
me see.
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a big social experiment that goes this way and that way, but it's very interesting.
And you're there from the 16th of February to the 10th of March.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I will think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Paul,
I'm
come to Oroville.
A question.
Such
One
a
question.
fantastic place.
Yeah. Is it in the Tamil Nadu state?
In Tamil Nadu, yeah.
Okay.
It's near Pondicherry, which used to be a French colony there. Pondicherry, and the policemen still have these French kepas, and there's even a statue of de Gaulle in the town, if you want to go and see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have a question. The 17th is the Lunar New Year. So shall we have the meeting on the 16th or not?
Well,
No,
Up to
I think we can
you.
skip that. Yeah.
I am in the
Whether
plane on
you
the
still have
16th.
the mood, whether you still have the mood to have this meeting, that's the issue.
Yeah.
But on the 23rd, if
So
we can.
we'll skip 16th next, and
Yeah.
then resume 23rd. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Agree. Yeah.
Mm.
No problem.
fantastic. I have that with ink.
Mm.
23rd of March, February.
Another point about gig economy is, last when you were talking about your workshop and all that, I thought that was very good because one of the characteristic of some of these gig economics or whatever, the gig workers, some of them are loners. So, so in a certain town in Malaysia, when they are doing some alignment of some business activities in that county, and they actually discuss about building a village for these digital nomads who are mainly loners. I think China is doing that. I think they got the idea from China. So where all these people, they will confine themselves, seldom come out and interact and all that. They are okay, working, inside their room with the pajamas and all that. Writers, you call it, or artists or whatever. So it seems there is a growing trend of youngsters also looking at this way of life and trying to make a living out of that or a career out of it. And it caught the eyes of some of these city councillors, imagine, because some old town, for example, in Malaysia, where most of the young people or old people has gone. So they're trying to revitalize some of this old town by attracting some of these digital nomad to just go and camp there and house themselves there with very low, cost and all that. So I'm not sure whether it will pick up.
That's interesting.
Are you seeing? Are you seeing
That's
same trend in your
interesting.
yeah?
Interesting. Yeah, the demographics, you can see in Italy, I saw in Japan, villages were abandoned because there's no, the last old person died and there's not. And now it's becoming populated again by young people that can get houses for next to nothing, and with internet and everything else, you can live wherever you want. So there's another wave coming. The other thing I wanted to say is that these people that I met in India who are gig workers and specialists of different functions in organizational life, they are very careful not to form any kind of emotional bonds with people they work with because they're going to move on to the next thing, to the next environment and so forth. When I was a young kid, I was a sailor on a commercial, and we all called each other last name because we knew we were never splitting up and going to different ships And so that tendency is another trend. I think that people will be more detached from forming strong teams and relationships within companies. Specialists come in and do your job and get out.
So actually, that is, I would say, is alarming to all those people working in the HR, because now all those HR practices has been established for decades in the past, and now that the whole working culture is very different. So on one hand, we still have people of my age getting used to the old model, and on the other hand, the younger generations come with a totally different mindset on their career. And how can you engage them into working towards the kind of corporate direction or whatever kind of culture that you want to build within a company? So I don't know. I don't have the solution, but I just see this trend coming up even in my company, because we have been doing some reorganizations in recently, quite drastic one. And then now that we come to a point that we don't have enough manpower in certain jobs. And when you want to ask those people who is still with the company to take on more responsibility, they reject it, or they ask for higher pay. And even for one case that I just learned today, that one of our colleagues, she has been doing a part-time job for years. So she left early at around 2 o'clock each afternoon. And then because we don't have enough manpower, so we asked her, how about you turn into a full-time job that we give you a higher pay? And she rejected. And she said, that's too much work. I would rather stay as status quo. Okay, so it never happened in my age or my generation, because if you have a higher pay, and then okay, then why not, right? But they have a totally different kind of mindset towards their job nowadays.
Yeah, my generation was pay and title, and there were more titles than money. So people got titles and was proud of that. And so now it doesn't seem to matter to this new generation. I mean, I'm just aware of what the shift we're sitting in the middle of. I mean, every level you look, political, this, what we are talking about today, how it's changing the society and the attitudes. And I mean, hang on for your life here. In terms of change, everything is up topsy-turvy right now. It's very interesting for people in my profession, organizational development, to look at this. And at the same time, it's very hard to keep your emotions out of what's happening, to be cold and just try to analyze, how things are interfering with each other in different interesting ways.
Maybe in a way, technology has empowered them also, right? I mean, in the past, if we don't get out and work, we can reach the world through an internet or AI enabled us, tools like what they have today. Yeah. Today, they lock themselves in the room. They call themselves digital nomad. They can do anything.
Right. And look at what we are doing here, incredible. I told people that 10, 15 years ago. So technology is fantastic and very annoying for people my age in so many ways, because things go. Today, the system in this house, for example, closed down, and I had to call all kinds of specialists, and I wish I could do all this electronic stuff myself, but it's overwhelming me. I'm sitting in a totally digital house. because that's how they build today. It's all. I have, I think, 5 or 6 different remote controls here.
That's not very, advanced one. You don't have to have many remote controls. You just need the AI to support yourself.
Yeah, but it's the digital age have changed everything. Yeah, but it's also challenging people my age or stupid people like myself. Very much.
Well, I think it's pretty the same, even in our ages.
Yeah.
Many people feel overwhelmed by the development of AI.
Yeah.
But so we need to learn more about how to use effectively the AIs, right?
But
Yeah, that's true.
you are the incredible skillful with AI, KR.
Yeah.
What are
Yeah.
you learning now? I mean, are you getting afraid or are you getting nervous about what it can do? Or because you are sort of in the beginning, you were so much in love with it in some ways, and enamored and interested. But are you finding something that you say, "Oh my God, this is what's happening here"?
Yes, I still enjoy using AI and interacting with AI and applying to my works, but sometimes I'm amazed. For example, there's a function in the notebook LM I introduced. There's a function to generate, if I give the certain content, the AI generate the podcast. Okay. And I made many podcasts, and I sometimes very amazed how they can have such a very natural way of a podcast about certain content, even beyond my expectation. So I'm sometimes I'm amazed to listen to those podcasts. I want to share with you, but it's all in Korean. But the it's the if really, I mean, human being, the professionals prepare that kind of podcast, it'll take a couple of days. But it generates in just 5-10 minutes, and the result is amazing even for me. Yeah.
Mm.
I can show you, maybe next time I can show you some of the very interesting functions because the notebook LM itself has been developed over the last 6 months significantly. And it's very interesting. I'm saying they're very interesting because it's beyond my expectation.
Mm.
KR,
You
what
had
sort of
showed
questions are you asking?
There, I have one course. We are reading 100 literature, the world literatures, the retranslated by my friend. He translated 100 from the Homerus, Ilias, to the Camus. And he selected 100 literature works and retranslated into Korean. Okay. And he did it by himself over the 10 years. You think about 100 works and 10 years. Even we have a reading club I'm running, and we have in almost more than 2 years to read one book a week. Think about it, right? We can read 50 books in a year. Even the reading one book is not easy in a week. Huh? So I'm just test the notebook LM. I have the script from my friend. His original script. So I put the script into the notebook LM and ask to generate the podcast. then normally it generates about 15 minutes of podcast, and the content, the dialogue is overwhelming. So I'm thinking that the development of the AI is much faster than I expected. It's true.
You had shown us a podcast on, I think it was on ginseng,
Oh,
a
yeah.
small series on Korea. You'd shown us that podcast on ginseng.
But that's a very simple one.
Yes.
For example, if I put his script about the Ilias to
Right.
the notebook LM, and it generates the podcast about 15 minutes, and it's really amazing. Next time I'll show you to generate in English, and I'll share with you. Okay.
Yeah.
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 And there's other functions I can show maybe next time about some of the notebook LMs, very additional functions. They generate some results. It's not only the podcast, but the others it generates. So I'll test and I can show in maybe next session. Okay.
All right.
Right.
need-
And are you using a paid version of Notebook LM or is it a free version?
Huh? Sorry.
Are you using a paid version of Notebook LM or is it free?
Big version. There's
Paid
only one.
version.
The notebook LM is only one version, but
Okay.
the what is that? Gemini. No, I use
Gemini.
the Pro version because I stopped the paying for the ChatGPT. I moved to Gemini, and the notebook LM is linked with the Gemini. It's from the Google. So
Okay. Yeah.
maybe that'll be an interesting showcase. Let me try next time. Okay, then one thing I want to remind is that even though we are we are the senior people in general, except Olivia, but
No, I'm getting old. Comparatively young.
you are young here, okay, younger than
Yeah, I'm the youngest. I
youngest.
can claim I'm the youngest. Okay.
Yeah. So we need to keep up with AI's development.
Definitely.
Just to enjoy using it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's all I can say.
That's your message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. KR, you are the AI guru for us.
Yeah.
He's very true.
No way. Thank you. Maybe that's for today. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think
Thanks, KR.
yeah, and as a summary, the gig economy is growing in any part of the world,
Yeah.
and so we need to pay attention to that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you in the 3
Yep.
weeks.
Yeah.
See
Yeah.
you.
So
Bye.
Happy New Year. Happy
Bye,
Chinese
everyone.
New Year.
Happy New Year. Yeah.
I'll be in
Bye.
touch, Jib. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. Bye.